Hey guys, I'm Hellz, and welcome to me doing a game review. The game I'm reviewing today is Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. Now, I bought this game about a week ago, and I would have loved to have played it for you guys and actually had it as a Let's Play, but because of the fact that I don't have the money to go out and buy one of these special, what do you call it, it's a recording device for the DS. I don't have the money for them, and I looked on, I don't know how much they actually are now, like the current price, like of today on like Amazon or anything like that, but the last time I checked, they're in the anywhere from $300, $400, $500 Australian for me, which I don't know how much it would be for you depending on where you guys are living, but it's a lot of money, and I don't really have the money to do that, as I'm saving up for other equipment that I need to make this on all my videos better. So unfortunately, I had to play this without recording it and letting you guys know. So I thought to myself, what could I do? And I thought, a review. I'll do a review of the game. Now, I bought it last Saturday, so it hasn't even been a week actually. But I've already finished it because I'm on my spare time between videos and work and just relaxing at home, because obviously I can't record all the time, and you know, I've got to do something while I'm waiting for something to upload, or I'm waiting to edit something, or during the editing process we'll have to wait for it to export. So anyway, I'll get on with the review. Great game. If you guys have actually played any of the other Pokemon Mystery Dungeons games before, it's pretty much identical to the other games, but this time, well, you get all 700, or not all of them, but you get 720 Pokemon, which is pretty much all the Pokemon up to the I can't think of it. It's like a giant volcano thing. It's a fire water Pokemon. But you can get all of them up to that. Now, I've already played a few of the Mystery Dungeons throughout the whole series. I had the very first one, which is the Blue Mystery Dungeon, which I loved. Like, I thought it was a really cool game back when I was, how old would I have been? I would have, maybe 13, 14 at the time, because I'm 23 right now. So it's almost 10 years ago about 10 years ago that I bought the first one that come out, and I played it, and it was a very different game. Like, for anyone who's watching, if you don't like Pokemon, I'm sorry, this is probably not the review for you, but if you do like Pokemon and you are watching this, it's such a different game. Like, yeah, okay, I know it's the same formula. You got Pokemon, you evolve them, you get more, you're able to get them all and train them up and blah 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 blah. But the Mystery Dungeon takes it to a different level. It's hard to explain without actually showing you guys, which is why I wish I had a recorder for this, but it's a really different experience. And like, yeah, okay, it's the same formula essentially, but it's different strategic. Like, you're in a dungeon, you can only have, you know, up to about 3 or 4 different Pokemon with you, and you've got to fight environment as well as stamina of getting through the floors and blah blah blah. So anyway, I'm gonna get on with it. The gameplay for it, like I said, very just stock standard to a Mystery Dungeon game. Nothing really's changed, no improvements that I can see. The only thing I'm a little ticked off about, in the last Mystery Dungeon, which I think is the Gates to Infinity, I think, they took out an element of the game where you have to eat as you're going through the dungeon, so you have a belly. And obviously, if the belly hits 0, you lose health, you get dizzy, all that kind of stuff. Very annoying mechanic, and they took it out for the last game, and I was so excited thinking, yes, they've improved it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good item of strategy to have in a game, but I think it hindered you more than it actually helped you. And then you can only have a limited amount of items on you, so you had to carry food on you as well as the healing items and anything extra you need. They actually brought that back into the new one, so I was a little disappointed with that. One thing they did bring in was looplets, and you could collect these gems. I can't think of that. It starts with an E, the thing I'm thinking of. I'll flash it on the screen if I can think of the name while I'm editing. But and you pick up these gems as you go through the dungeon, and you can equip them, and they vast from different things of like increasing your attack power, or like making your foes can't hit you as much, and they miss a lot more and stuff. So I found that a very interesting concept into the game. Unfortunately, like, at the same time, you could find really good gems, but at the same time, you could also just find crap. And it was like, you get this gem that would be like, oh, when you eat berries, it increases the amount the berry gives you. And it's like, well, I only have a few berries. So it's like, yay, this thing helps me for one berry that I eat. like an orange berry, and you're like, yay, that one berry I got a little bit of assistance on, and that's it. Other than that, you don't use it. So it's a bit like, I feel as if hit and miss with it. I mean, it's kind of cool, but you can also destroy these gems and just eat them, or I don't know, eat them, but you can absorb their power, and it just like increases your stats if you don't have a looplet equipped. So I found that really good. One thing I actually don't know if you could do this in the last game, but I noticed it as I was going through the main storyline of the game. When you die, because you had to be your partner Pokemon, and let's face it, they weren't always the strongest Pokemon you could be. So you died, and you got this option of giving up, which you lose all your items, which I did not like because I had some good items on me to keep me going. You can either restart from your last save, or you can go to something called Pelipper Island, and you can set up a team of Pokemon that you've rescued and already have throughout the game. And you get to go save yourself. Like you have to go to the same dungeon with the 3 Pokemon that you choose and make your way to the floor. Now, I actually enjoyed this system. At the same time, though, during the storyline, which is another thing I'm about to cover in the story, at the start of the game, quite easy, you can get through it pretty well. But as you get later in the game, it doesn't give you the time to train. So I found towards the last 10 dungeons of the game, I'd get through 2 floors and die. And I had to keep saving myself. And it got me so annoyed that I had to keep going through this function where it's like, if I just got the ability to train my starter Pokemon, I wouldn't have to go through this bloody hell. But anyway, so I'm going to go into the story now. The story is a stock standard story if you guys have played the Mystery Dungeons. If not, I'm not going to... Whoa, knock on my mic. If not, I'm not going to ruin too much for you guys. It's the same scenario as it has been in the first and the recent one that I played as well. You're a human that's come to the Pokemon world because of some disaster. Like I said, I'm not going to spoil too much, but you come in with some disaster. You're the one who got summoned by some ancient Pokemon or some ancient force, and you have to save the world. And in this case, it's called something called Dark Matter. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to spoil it for you guys if you guys actually want to play the game. The story, it's the same thing. But let's face it, Pokemon's always the same thing, isn't it? Team Rocket, this, that. But we all still love it for the fans of Pokemon. If you don't like Pokemon, live with it. Yeah, I enjoy Pokemon quite a bit. It's one of the first games that I really got into as a kid, and it's always been that nostalgia for me. So that's why I play Pokemon and I enjoy these kind of games. And it's nice to play a Pokemon game with a different mechanics into it as well. But so that's all I'm going to say about the story. The graphics, now, honestly, people might sit there and go, oh, the graphics aren't that good. It's a shit game because the graphics aren't good. But you've got to think about it. The Pokemon company makes all these games, and they're in the middle of making Pokemon Go, and they're probably making another Pokemon generation, and blah, 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 blah. So this game is probably a side project. So considering the fact that it's a side project and it's on the Nintendo 3DS system, which, don't get me wrong, it's a great system. I love the 3DS. But let's face it, the graphics aren't always up to 100%. Honestly, for what it is, it looks good. I enjoy the graphics, all the little details as you're going through the dungeon, like on the walls and the plants and the water and the rocks. It all looks really cool. So honestly, the graphics I think is pretty good with this game. But once again, it's a side project. You're not expecting some miraculous, great cinematic thing. It's good for what it is because of what the resources they had on it. So that's all I'm going to say about the graphics. Now, replay value, for how annoyed I got, because I'm going to loop back to the story again. The last bits, as you go through the game, you kind of get forced to go through the story. It's not like you do a few dungeons, you can go save a few Pokemon, do what you want, train. You get little moments like that, but after you do it a few dungeons, it forces you to go to the next part of the story. And I found that a little bit of a downfall with this game because it didn't give you the time to train. So as you got to the end of the game, everything was so overpowered, and that's why I kept dying, and it frustrated me. Like, I got to the point where I had to rescue myself a few times from a dungeon, and I couldn't, like, you only get a set limited number of rescues per dungeon. And I failed them all. I saved myself and then kept going back to the main story and dying. And I got so frustrated that I actually had to turn the DS off, put it down, because I felt like I was going to throw it against the wall. So I felt the way they push you through the story was a bit like, it was just rushing it a bit too much for me. And like, I would have liked to take the time to go through it and, you know, probably explore the game as I'm playing the game instead of being forced to go through the main storyline and just hit the end of the game and go, oh yeah, now I get to explore, but I'm really frustrated with the game and I really don't want to look at it now. So I felt like they should have really laid off the forceful story following. Like, some games, there are other games that do it. I can't think of off the top of my head, but there are other games that do it as well. And it's, I mean, certain types of games, it's all right. But for this kind of game where you need to train and stuff to get to it, I found it very I didn't like it. I really didn't for that reason. Now, another interesting mechanic I need to mention is in the old mystery dungeons, you'd go through the dungeons. Let's say you find a Pikachu. I know, using the most stereotypical Pokemon. Sue me. And you'd beat it, and it'd be like, Pikachu wants to be your friend. Do you want Pikachu to be your friend? And you'd be like, yes. Now, they've taken away this element. Like, you can get all the Pokemon still, but it's a very different... You have to do it through a connection orb, I believe it's called. And, yeah, you pretty much have to, like do the missions for the Pokemon, and you connect to the Pokemon. But this time, you can't evolve them. So, you could get... Like, my starting Pokemon was a Charmander, because not because I'm Charizard biased. It's the Pokemon it gave me. So I was like, I'm going to go with it. And you can't actually evolve Charmander. The only way to get Charizard or Charmeleon is you have to find the friend and do the mission for it to get the connection orb. So it's... To me, it takes away a bit, because the Pokemon's always been about you train them, you evolve them. And in this game, not so much. It's all about finding them. And it's a bit like... That's a cool idea, but at the same time, what happened to the training and evolving thing? So pretty much... So I'm going to train this Charmander up during the storyline, and as soon as I get Charizard, I'm just going to throw Charmander away and not use him again, because what's the point? I could have a level 50 Charmander, but a level 50 Charizard is a lot better. It learns better moves. So that's where I found the downfall with this game, with the whole connection orb thing. Interesting idea, don't get me wrong, it was creative, but at the same time I felt it didn't work. But then, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's up to you guys. You guys could agree with me or disagree with me. I don't really care. But how I felt about it as a Pokemon fan for many years, I felt it was a miss for me. But my own opinion, you don't have to take any of the opinions that I've mentioned here. You don't have to don't take personally. It's just my opinions. I'm allowed to have them. You guys are allowed to have your own opinions of the game. So, well, I can't remember if I said it, but replay value? No, I would never play through the game again. Honestly, I don't see why. I've already played through it once. I'm probably just going to try and get all the Pokemon now. So I'm probably not going to restart this game again. I mean, you never know. I could be lying. In about, 5 years, I could think, oh, maybe I'll go through it again. But by then, they'll probably have a new generation of Pokemon, and I won't want to play the old games because there's a new generation out, and I won't be able to get the new Pokemon in the old one. So I probably won't replay this again. Recommend it though? I would actually recommend it. If you guys like the Mystery Dungeon games, or if you like Pokemon and you've played the games and you think, oh, it's a little easy, or it's it's a little bit repetitive, and you want to play Pokemon but in a different way, I would really suggest the Mystery Dungeon games. I really enjoyed the Mystery Dungeon games. I think they're really fun. There are, like I said, there are a different concept on it. The moves are different to some degree because you have to think about how you use them in the environment. So once again, I think I would recommend this game. My overall rating for the game, I had to think about it a bit, because at first I really enjoyed it, and then the negatives and the positives. I was thinking about giving this game a 3, but then I thought, no, it's better than that. But 4 is too much, so I had to cut it at 3.5 stars for me, which isn't a bad game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's only a few games that I would sit down and reflect on that I would give 5 stars to, and it's 5 star. I'm not generous. I'm only going to give what I actually think it deserves, and it's not a 5. I don't think it because of the misses that it got. It missed it from being a 4 star in my opinion. But I think it's still a little bit better to be 3.5, better than 3. So I'm going to give this one 3.5. So that's my overall rating for this game, guys. Hope you enjoy this game review. If you guys want to see more game reviews by me and any other games and stuff, let me know in the comments. Only reason I really mainly did this as well is because I can't actually play this game for you guys on YouTube. So, but if there's any other games you guys would like to, like, I've played many games in my past, because I've been a gamer since I was, well, I don't know. My mum tells me I've been playing games like the Sega Mega Drive and stuff since I was like 3 or 4. So I've been playing a lot of games throughout my life. So if you guys want to see ask me if you want me to do a review on a game I've already done, I am more than willing to sit down and tell you guys exactly what I think of it. But like I said, that's up to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and if you want to see more reviews on games that I've played or might play in the future that you guys want me to do. Tell me in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Defend? What do you mean? He's fine. He looks fine to me. What was it? Knife polish? Oakley's knife polish. That's exactly what I need. Get out the way. I'm letting the guy I'm meant to be protecting down.